Today, I am going to share with you the sixth key to help you through during times of instability, crisis, particularly around the lockdown, which we're all experiencing now. We're well into the lockdown and the COVID-19, although things have sort of tapered off in terms of the stringency of the rules and people are able to be out, but we still have a 2-meter rule. And people are still very much working from home and also navigating the terrain of possibly loss of income, loss of businesses, and actually even wondering what the next step is. So the sixth key is to do with your third eye chakra. It is a very important chakra or life energy point to really help you navigate this terrain, and because it will give you the insight and give you the confidence in order to surrender when you need to surrender and take action when you need to start downloading some really great ideas and maybe put some new plans into place. But firstly, I really need to say that you really need to go back, if you haven't already, and check the original keys that I've started with, the first key and then the second key and the third key. The keys, or the gateways, if you like, or even the seeds, the life energy points, work on a stacking system, and it really helps initially, especially if you're new to this, that you actually work from the foundation up. Okay, the tendency is if you tend to start working with your third eye, it could actually make you feel quite high. You can actually get quite paranoid, and in fact you can actually have a spiritual crisis or experience some kind of psychosis. And this happens a lot now these days, or with youngsters who do really kind of heavy drug taking, taking tablets, pills, or any kind of smoking agent as well, that would have you get sort of high. Okay, and what happens is it does tend to open and stimulate the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, sorry, and what does happen is it actually overstimulates it, which causes a lot of the spiritual crisis and psychosis, and this is why I think people are getting quite out of it. And you find that kids who have been smoking quite heavily tend to sort of act and behave and talk as if they're constantly on a trip. And in fact, it can be tapered off, but it will mean that they would have to stop smoking and let the body do its natural healing. But coming back to the third eye and the importance of it at this time, I'm just going to share my screen here, as with I do each week, and I'm just going to put this as a share. Okay. All right. Let me just move this out of the way. Now, this is what the third eye chakra actually looks like, and I'm just going to sort of enlarge it. Okay, in the sort of each of the chakras have an archetypal symbol which represents the chakra. Okay, this is the third eye chakra, or the life energy point. The color is indigo, and it is situated on the third eye point. The point between the brows and the pituitary gland and the pineal gland are very much the two elements of the physical part of the body that tends to really kind of be activated, and so therefore you can really heal and help those elements of your body. All right, people with any physical issues like headaches, sinuses, brain tumors, mental problems, learning disabilities, anxiety disorders and all that, could also mean that there's either an excess activity in the third eye or a deficiency. So when you're in a panic mode, when you're afraid, when crisis hits, we tend to go straight up to the head, don't we? We try and solve the problem from the head. So the important thing, as I said in the first key, was to get down to being grounded. Really important that you get grounded, which is to go down to the root chakra. So I recommend that you stay with your feet. You do any form of exercise that will help you get rooted. Going out to nature will be very good for you at this time or any time. And these practices are just not one-off. Yes, there are life. It's a life practice, which means that by engaging in this kind of practice daily or regularly, once you start doing it daily, and then you get to a place where you know that you're living out of these incredibly healthy, dynamic, and powerful chakra points that are harmonized and balanced, you can then start to periodically doing it periodically, once a week or even twice a week, and you will know when it needs topping up. I've often talked about it like a guitar strings, really. It's like tuning up a guitar. So when your guitar is out of tune, it's not been played, your guitar will sound really off and just can't play any tunes. And same with the chakras. So if the chakras or life energy points have not been tuned up, you will find that you're disengaging, or rather engaging life from a very sort of unstable, contaminated, stagnated self. Okay, but sticking to point with this third chakra, I will just talk briefly about the benefits of this balanced chakra. Here with this chakra, you can get really good insight. Okay, so this is really important. Insight is something that after we've experienced it, we gain wisdom. So that's another one. Wisdom is associated with this chakra as well. So insight and wisdom are one of the benefits of a really well-charged chakra. Okay, the other thing that can happen from this chakra is ideas, another brilliant one. So at this time as well, any time of crisis, we tend to fall into a panic and we start disbelieving that we can actually sort the problem out, or get into fear where we can't even think. Our mind gets really confused or foggy. All right, so at times like this, it's really good to start honing into the third eye chakra. And I will talk later on about how to do that as well. But for now, just for the sake of the benefits or a well-balanced third eye chakra, like I said, you've got your ideas, you've got your insights, and you've got your wisdom. Also, another really, when you're telepathic, right? People who are psychic and telepathic have a really good, active and a very healthy third eye chakra. So we'll put here people who are psychic. I hope I spelled this right. Okay, so another aspect of it. Oh, dreams. Okay, dreams, dreaming up dreams, new visions also is a very good one. This is why at this time, particularly during the lockdown, particularly during times of instability, that we start actually really accessing these areas, so we can actually start getting away from the fear, from the stagnation, from the congestion of feeling stuck, and activating the third eye chakra so we can start getting ideas that will help us out possibly of a situation, or being open to receiving ideas. Okay, because this is something also that we've got to be mindful about, is that with the third eye chakra, which is also very much about intuition. Okay, intuition is not something you force. All right, it's not a thinking and saying, this is what I'm going to do. Intuition is a lot more subtler than that. Intuition comes in the smallest of whispers. It comes as a whiff. It comes like a little gentle scent. Sometimes you can actually literally smell the solution. Other times you get a really little flutter of an idea that will come and just sort of brush past you. That's when your intuition is really speaking to you. But the problem is with modern day living, we're so distracted with our contraptions of our iPhones, TV, full-on distractions, going out to the pubs, whatever it is. We don't really take steady time to really kind of tune into ourselves. And this is why our intuition, while they come, we might not catch it, okay, because we're so distracted with noise and other factors. So working on your intuition and practicing some form of meditation also is really beneficial. What else would I say? Oh, okay, so this is also good for imaging and imagination. All right. So, visualization and imagination is very good. You can actually visualize your new home. You can visualize a new job. You can visualize kind of the place you want to live, and these things can actually really powerfully work. Okay. And clairvoyance, all that kind of things. This is all to do around the head. One other important aspect of this is clarity. All right, clarity, and what else did I say? Accessing your higher self as well. Okay, so these are the key positive elements that can really happen when we start cultivating on the third eye chakra. I'm just going to also pull up another drawing, okay, which I've been using for the last few series, is this one. So as you see, these are the 7 keys. Okay, we started at the root, which is here. Okay, this is the root chakra. All right, so this is what keeps us grounded. This is the sacral chakra, just for a quick kind of, what do you call it? I can't even think of the right word. Kind of restudy, if you like. Okay, so just going back to the foundation of it. This is our solar plexus. Now, all these have to work together. Okay, it's like an accordion. We need all of them to kind of really work and fully engage in the essence and the power of these chakras. Okay, solar plexus is where our power is. Okay, again, if we have good ideas, but if we haven't got the power to get the engine behind it, to get the action behind it, then again, you can have great ideas, but then they fall flat and they don't get grounded. This is the grounding chakra. So again, we might get insights, ideas here, and then they come down to the if they can't move efficiently through the chakras, they won't actually get grounded. Okay, sometimes people have problems with their power, with their self-belief, with their esteem, which means that they don't actually take strong action to make it happen. The other thing that's really important here is the heart chakra, which I spoke to. This is a fourth key. All right, the heart chakra is really important in the sense because now, particularly now, we're given the opportunity to really get in touch with our hearts a lot more, and particularly wanting to start activating our truth, our self-expression, our sacred purpose from the heart. So what has meaning to us? What would we like to do that we can contribute to ourselves, to our families, to the bigger community, or to the global world? Okay, now whatever ideas you have, I think sometimes there's a lot of fear and concern, which I don't blame anybody really, is the essence of thinking that you have to have something major to do. Okay, that, you know, it has to be a global activism, it has to be something to do with something really major. Actually, you know, playing a major role, or rather playing a role as an intuitive citizen or a person in the neighborhood, or with your neighbor, or even with your spouse, with your partner, with your children, is a huge sacred purpose in itself. So I think we need to get over the fact that we have to really fulfill some large purpose in life, and actually it's the largeness of who we are that actually holds the true purpose. Okay, again, I said this last week, it's about a sense of self-mastery, a sense of self, a sense of inner radiance. Okay, and that has just an effect, and we are valuable and we're needed wherever we are. Okay, so it's really important to get out of the doldrums. Now, I know some people have been suffering a lot from the doldrum feeling, that you might have had a sense of identity within your work, and you now find yourself unable to really express that. And what happens is your mind starts swirling negatively, and all the energy starts getting very stagnant. So it is really important to actually get out of that sense of fear, the sense of confusion, and the sense of fuzzy thinking. And what else could happen also is a sense of, you know, kind of, well, with fuzzy thinking, of course, you don't have any clarity. But what's really important is that you don't start falling, because what happens is when people are identified by the title, the job title, or doing things, or, you know, particularly places like, say, let's take somebody who works in a theatre, somebody who's a sound engineer or a lighting engineer, who are actually practical, hands-on, and actually very much in situ. Now, you might find right now you don't even know where you are, you haven't got a particular point of purpose, you're not able to go to work, you're not able to do what comes naturally to you, what you've been good at for many years. So it is really natural to start going inward in yourself and actually losing your sense of direction. Like all crisis actually is a redirection, whatever the crisis and however the crisis shows up. Okay, whatever stage of instability, whether you lose lots of money in the stock exchange, or through you know, a nasty deal, or, you know, you lose your home because you can't afford the payments anymore. All these kinds of crises are always a blessing in disguise, and an opportunity for us to grow. These are what serves our soul growth. Now, as human beings, we resist any of that. Particularly the way we've been raised to believe that we are just humans and we kind of operate through a very structural, a very patriarchal system. The truth is we are spiritual beings in a human suit. So the purpose of our lives really is to overcome a lot of these hardships, a lot of the challenges, and to become more of who we need to be. And that could be played out in so many ways. So coming back to that point about this guy, say, who's lost his job right now, or everything's on lockdown, so there's no purpose to his job and he has no idea where his next step is. Okay, the best way to take the next step is by taking it one step at a time and going one day at a time. Okay, and at the same time working on the chakras, so you can actually start feeling your way through the practices. This is why I've actually made these videos. It is really important that they are offered to you, so you can actually really help and start activating and rebalancing and living in harmony to do with yourself in your life, and particularly during times of instability and crisis. Okay, but I would personally recommend, and I say this each week, I film these, that these are tools, are tune-up tools for you to really live in harmony, balance, joy, in a sense of radiance, in a sense of sort of power that kind of exudes out of you, that really is present in your everyday life. Now, it doesn't mean, and I say this again each week, it doesn't mean shit won't happen. It doesn't mean to say that there are days when you might feel blue or you might not feel so great, whatever. But actually, you know what? It all starts receding. That you'll find that you're actually not as affected, that your sense of power, your sense of truth, your sense of grounding is all in place. And there's a sense of being intact, you know, and not being sort of keeled over very easily. Okay, so I'm just going to come out of screen share for a moment and continue to talk. So, so these are the, you know, typical sort of you know, concerns that you might have, if you like, and how to develop your insight, your ideas, and your visions. It's really a good time to now bringing up your dreams. Now, one thing also that the working with the third chakra will do is to start actually offering you your your dreams can be very heightened at the moment, okay? And particularly as I'm recording this, because we're actually in Gemini. We've got a new moon in Gemini in 2 days. And also we've got some Neptune aspect, I think, to do with Jupiter, which is to do with the planet expansion hitting Neptune, which means our dreams can be more than usually activated. Also, astrologically as well, we are hitting, for the next year and a half, so this is actually quite poignant, that the North Node is in Gemini. Now, Geminis are all about communication, thinking, new ideas, new dreams, new everything, actually, a new opportunity to learn a new language. And the North Node is what's present, interestingly. It's an access point in astrology, which I don't really want to go into heavily, but it's an access point in astrology that actually is going to be a collective theme, which means for everybody, which is interesting because this lockdown can actually go on for a very long time, or certainly the aftermath of what's happening through the COVID-19, that it's going to have a major knock-on effect. And so therefore everybody's environment, work, or how we do work now is changing, which is going to ask of us to start learning new methods of working. So, you know, this Zoom thing is quite new for me, but it's something I'm learning. I'll be also learning how to put things online more for myself, and everyone's going to be challenged, as well as given the opportunity to start extending the work out in a different way. Now, as a coach and a life trainer, I've often always worked with my clients on the screen anyway, and with my readings, I do tarot readings and card readings. So I also always done that. And I won't say always, actually, but that's been an option for clients, and I've done lots of readings via the screen. So in some way, my work has already been developing for some time around working with the internet. But this is a really good opportunity for a lot of people now to think about, how can I still do what I do? Or how can I start bringing other elements or key elements of what I'm good at, what I know to be true for me, that has heart, soul, and meaning, and how can I bring it out into the world? Okay, so it's a really wonderful time to start developing your ideas. Now, the other thing I also want to recommend is, instead of thinking that you have to sort it out, all right, and again, I really recommend tuning your chakras, because the already thinking, you know, we can't come out with new solutions from the old stagnant self, all right? So again, it's a bit like giving ourselves a new tune-up, all right? So using the guitar analogy, when the guitars are tuned up, like our chakras, you're going to start producing a different kind of melody, or one that sounds better. So by working with the chakras or the life energy points, you're really going to start actually thinking, developing your ideas differently, and kind of coming more into your authentic self, which is really key, okay? Because one thing also that we're going through at the moment is people are going to be challenged at the moment as to what really has meaning for me. How did I get so off track? You know, you might have discovered that you actually really enjoy spending time with your family, and the idea of going back to work full time is just not, you know, an idea that you relish. So you might want to start formulating some new patterns and new ideals and new routines. So working again with the third eye chakra is very, very important, very key, as with all the chakras, as I already expressed. Okay, now one thing, some of the other negatives I quickly want to draw up to you is, if you're are got any addictions, like any, people tend to suffer from cultish behaviors, okay, who tend to, they definitely have a third eye problem, okay, possessiveness, shopping, over shopping. So people go maybe to the shopping mall all the time. I was saying this to a friend yesterday. Can you imagine? I mean, how are people who can't go shopping managing? Are they maybe ordering things online all the time? Because to be honest, that kind of sort of addiction, shopping and needing to be stimulated all the time, going out to buy things, is a form of a very serious dissatisfaction and not being able to see life very clearly, and wanting to sort of divert the attention from the inside and then going externally and then feeding yourself from the outside. One of the other key elements of addictions, I think personally, is eating a lot of sugars as well. You kind of want to sweeten up life. Now, interestingly, the third eye is connected to chocolate. So we tend to get cravings for chocolate, and often it's because the third eye wants to be stimulated. So again, choose wisely. If you go for the high sugar end, cheap crap, you are just going to toxify your body and your mind. And same goes with caffeine. If you do too much caffeine, that would overstimulate your third eye, and what happens is also to over revs it up, okay, which then you'll hear people sort of say, I can't think straight, my mind is, I've got a headache, or my mind is going too fuzzy. And that is particularly very true of somebody who might have an uncontaminated third eye, or one that's been overactive through all the stimulants, and it needs rebalancing. Okay, we all need a tune up. Our cars need a tune up, our bodies need a tune up. So therefore, energetically, our chakras is an energy system that really has been unrecognized and not been viewed as a health and emotional and spiritual practice that really kind of brings you back into your well-being in a way that is extremely powerful. And until you actually start practicing it, these are just words, but until you start actually really kind of becoming conscious of it and really working with it as elements or regular keys to really tune yourself up, you're not going to know what a difference it makes. So it's one of those, it's experiential. You just got to get in with it, get on with it, and you will find that you will really massively shift a lot of your ailments, a lot of the emotional problems, and also kind of start living from a very radiant inner being. So some of the the emotional dysfunction, I'll just list a few more. I've got them here in my notes. One of it is you deny your intuition. Okay, like I said, if it's overblocked, you can deny it. You think you will just overlook it. Okay. Another classic one is blaming others. So if you hear somebody always blaming others, or was so and so did this, or it's because of that, or whatever, they're actually not listening or haven't listened to their intuition. Okay, somebody who's always relentlessly wanting to achieve, that's another need for a rebalance of your third eye. Paranoid behavior, jealousy, fear of looking introspectively or looking inside is a dysfunctional, emotional dysfunction of the sixth life energy point. Okay, typical elements of dis-ease. Physical ones are, like I said, migraines, brain tumors, vision problems, anxiety disorders, blindness, nightmares, headaches, sinus problems, panic attacks, schizophrenia. It's all because there's a clogged energy, around this area. So of course you can see a Reiki healer, you can see a therapist, but I always believe that while those therapists and healings are brilliant and they really do help, and we do always need an external assistance, if you like, actually being able to self-practice is a really good toolkit to have. And I'm for one really love teaching people how to have their own toolkit to wellness. So these things you can really help yourself and improve your life with. Now, one of the sacred truths of the third eye is the power and the willingness to surrender. Now, we're all controlling human machines, really. We like to control everything. Got to get this, got to get that. That's not happening, so I've got to do this and do that. And what happens is life is taught us through our upbringing and society that we've got to control everything. And in fact, that is so wrong. And I think a lot of people now begin to learn that we have no control. One thing we've learned in crisis, you have no control, right? It could be a car accident, it could be getting ill, it could be getting breast cancer, it could be some kind of cancer. It could be, like I said, this COVID-19, losing jobs, yeah, losing a family member, losing a loved one. There are sometimes things beyond our control, and they happen. And unfortunately, while very painful or very challenging, they are times where we're actually being called to go into our divine selves and into our sense of self and spirit. And we also have to surrender it, okay, which means it's not giving up, but it's actually allowing so something bigger than us to be able to show us the way. Okay. And that's when we really start activating our intuition with the divine will. Okay. So you have to be willing to let go and let God, if you like. Okay. Now, a third eye that is balanced, you will start thinking very intuitively. And like I said, you will have psychic powers. You will be able to trust your inner wisdom. So instead of procrastinating, and particularly when you're really confused, it's really easy to get into a kind of like a treadmill of procrastination. But you'll find that your ability to choose wisely, notice things as well. You'll just notice little finer details that will catch your eye, catch your hearing, catch your kind of sort of titillate your thoughts. You think, oh, that there's something there. Those you'll start catching, and it's really powerful and wonderful way to start living. And you start living out of the kind of to know the unknowable. So when you know something, you just know something. Sometimes you just know. That's when your intuition is really working in your favor. Okay. Perceive, and the opposite of knowing something, of course, can be paranoia, right? So some people can be really paranoid. Oh, I know you're doing something, and I know you're doing that, and I know you're doing that, and which is not true, but that's because the mind's gone to the other essence, the other extreme, the flip side, the downside is that they think they know and they don't know. But again, the way to tune up your third eye is by visualizing and activating the third eye. Now, I mentioned already that it's to do with the color indigo. So that's what you would do. You would actually visualize your third eye with the color of indigo and imagine it getting brighter and brighter. I will be putting a new video on that would actually be, and courses as well, that would really help you to start focusing on each chakra with the intention of activating it, balancing it, and harmonizing it. Okay. But one of the aspects of doing that is through the visualization of the indigo around your third eye. And like I showed you that picture earlier on with the image of the third eye, you would use, okay, and just for the sake of very quick recap, there is that one. Okay, so it's the same image as that. So you would imagine that particular image, something like that. Okay, now what can I tell you next? Oh yeah, this is a lovely one. Okay, another way to really activate your third eye, I think it's really beautiful, is to imagine that you actually are looking through your third eye as you go about your day. Okay, so your third eye is here, and as you walk around in the flat or in the home, or as you're talking to somebody, and even now as I'm talking to you, I am imagining I'm actually talking through my third eye. Now my third eye then becomes stimulated because you're actually honing into it. Now this is a really powerful way to keep tuned into your third eye and start exercising it. It's a bit like when you go out for a run, or do certain body practices. You would engage your body and kind of focus on your, maybe as a runner, you focus on your gait or your breathing apparatus, or or if you're doing Pilates, you concentrate on your core. All these things can be done as well, by the way, of course, but even just thinking about the third eye. So as you're running, you're thinking and looking, out of your third eye. So it's very, very important that that's just a fantastic way of bringing that daily, and just watch and just notice what a difference that could make for you. Okay. Now, the other thing also is a really good way to really calm the system and calm the mind, because of course, sometimes the mind can get overstimulated at the best of times. Okay. Would be to sit down and do some breathing exercises, or people sort of say about meditation. Now, somebody like myself, because I actually am an air sign, right? And that's just not an excuse, but I'm an air sign, which means I think a lot and I think very quickly and have a tendency to speak very fast as well. Okay, so, doing these kind of practices are very helpful for me. And more importantly, because I have an overactive mind, it doesn't always, it certainly wasn't easy for me at all to start with, to sit there quietly without my mind really being active. Okay, but doing certain exercises like the one I'm going to just now even tell you about will really help you when you need to quieten your mind. And one of it, again, to do with the third eye, is I want you to take an in breath And as you do that, I want you to think about breathing in through the third eye and then breathing out through the third eye. And you can close your eyes and you breathe in. And just imagine the third eye is taking a breath in, and then on the exhale, you're just breathing out from the third eye. And as you do this, you want to make sure that you're sitting down and your sit bones are really comfortable on the mat or the chair. You're lengthening up. Okay, and you just think of yourself a really nice stacking system of your body. And your shoulders are down, your neck's relaxed, your jaw's relaxed. And again, you breathe in through the third eye and out through the third eye. Now there's the front and back as well, so that's kind of nice. You breathe in through the front. Imagine just breathing out from the back of the head, about the same level of the third eye, okay, the brow. And now imagine breathing in from the back of the head, and then breathing out to the front. I see this as like an energetic flossing, okay, so it's like a floss. So you're breathing in, and then you're breathing out, and then from the back, you're breathing in, and then you're breathing out. Now you can also do the same by breathing outwardly to the sides of the body. So you can breathe in from the front, and imagine your breath taking on the same level of your out breath. Just breathing out, and then breathing in. And then you might want to come forward, breathing out. So just play around with the breath work, but concentrate on the third eye. Imagine your breath and you clearing your third eye. And then once you kind of got the breath work sussed, then maybe you want to bring in the indigo color in, okay? Or you can start with the indigo color and then start using your breath. The idea is that you're really stimulating it, you're clearing it out, you're rebalancing it. Really, really powerful work. That is some of the physical aspects that you can actually engage in, okay? Now, the other physical, of course, aspect is we'll do the yoga next, okay? Yoga posturing is very, very powerful. I'm just going to share my screen again. Let's do this. And let's go share. So here we have the yoga postures, which I tend to sort of bring up. Now, all yoga actually, a lot of the yoga really does help stimulate all the chakras. And again, with the practice of imagining the third eye and talking through the third eye and moving through the third eye, particularly in yoga, would really help to stimulate your third eye and also activate it, okay? But there are some clearly that are much more stimulating and more useful or kind of active, okay? They're like what's called primary chakras that get activated and secondary ones. Now this posture is quite popular. And most of you, if you've done yoga, and this is for people who've done yoga, if not done yoga, I'm really sorry, but you're just going to hopefully might be able to learn something from some of these very simple drawings. Now, this is downward dog. Okay, so this is where your arms are and your hands are here and your feet. So you're from standing up, you bend forward, and then you come down to the ground level, and your feet are here and your arms are here. Now with a downward dog, you can either be on your feet, and if you can't keep your feet flat on the ground, you'd be up on your toes and you'd be raised. But I just want to bring your attention. Now the head is downward here. Okay, this is really important. This is where your third eye would be. Okay, so again, you can use this posture all the time by activating the third eye. It's close to the ground. Okay, you can use your third eye, and even when you're coming up to standing. Oops, what's happened here? Oh no. Oh, maybe it's because it's, okay. Yeah, so when you come up to standing, so I have to make this figure a bit smaller. Okay, you will be looking through the third eye. Again, it's really important that you move anything from the third eye, all right? I might choose another posture actually to help. This one as well, I love this one. This is a forward bend. In fact, you might want to do this first before you go into the downward dog. This is a figure that's bending forward, bending from the hip here, all right? And then you've been standing there bending forward. And then again, this person's got the hands down by the feet. But if you're not that flexible in your hamstrings, you might just want to bring your hands here. It doesn't matter, it could be on your knees. But what's important is the straight back, which is really lovely. This also helps to activate all the chakras along the spine. But it's here, this is the third eye again. So you can really bring your focus on the third eye point. And then when you actually even come back to standing, when you come back to standing, you will be using, so all the movement, imagine moving just with a third eye activating the movement. So you start from here, your third eye is moving and you're forward and you're bending forward with the third eye leading. It is a very amazing way to engage in a yoga practice that you might like to do. So any kind of yoga really, and you bringing in the focus of the third eye will definitely do the trick. Yeah, so I think I'm going to leave the yoga postures. There's loads, as you can see. So yeah, you know, do one or two of your favorite postures and really bring the third eye into your focus. Okay, and you'll find that your whole practice and the whole sense of being and awareness around your body, and after your few posturing using your third eye, will make a huge difference to how you walk, how you view life, and how you feel around the space. Okay, so in fact, I am going to stop share again. Now, the other element that's really great for the third eye chakra is sound healing. Now, sound is also, you know, the throat chakra really tends to do with the nose, the hearing, the mouth, and all the taste and the hearing and everything. But the third eye also is very much part of that, especially to do with our sinuses. So there's some elements that really kind of blend and are synergistic. Okay, now, so sound healing. Now, a lot of people, again, Tibetan bowl healing or sound healing therapies are getting much more popular, and they're just basically like a sound bath. You literally go into a room where somebody does the gongs and it goes, you know, and you sort of do a bell or a gong, and then that vibration actually really helps to stimulate and balance and harmonize the chakras. It's a wonderful, wonderful way of just kind of really surrendering and letting go, and that's actually quite a nice one for your third eye, because you are just allowing yourself to be lying down or sitting down and to receive the sound. So it can really cleanse you. And we're not very good at receiving, and more importantly at surrendering completely. So it's actually a beautiful physical practice for you to allow yourself to be surrendering into, and also having a great sound bath or sound healing. There are lots of videos on YouTube or sound, you know, sound, if you put sound bath, sound healing, chakras, you might want to choose one that speaks to you, resonate. Don't put anything on that's going to be really irritating and you think, oh, I have to do this. This is a sound bath and I'm just going to sit through here, because believe me, you're going to be right up here thinking about things and not actually allowing yourself to receive. So it totally defeats the object of doing something like that. Which also brings me to the next point, actually, that pay attention to what you're beginning to want to reject and what doesn't feel right, and then you kind of overriding it. Okay, when we start second guessing ourselves and overriding things that are true to us because so and so said something to us, or somebody's telling us how to do the next thing, you know, particularly in partnerships, you know, it's really difficult to hold your own. I see it all the time, and I experienced it myself, that you kind of go along with what your partner wants, or, you know, you kind of find yourself that just to keep the peace, that you will kind of relinquish your own sense of knowing. You know, I mean, how many times does this happen? Say, for example, in a car, right? I mean, that's a classic. Don't people argue in the car? Why? Because you, as a woman, might know something. I know I'm being really generic here. Of course, it could happen the other way around, but there are times in a partnership that you might know something, okay? And then somebody will override saying, nah, that's not true. That's not the case. No, we're not doing that, or whatever. Okay. And then what happens is you realize your intuition got overridden. That is a very painful lesson, especially if it's a costly one. Okay. It happens. And that's one of the challenges in partnerships, I'd say, that you might have an insight or an intuitive hit and your partner will override it, and you end up giving your power away. So again, if your solar plexus is not strong, you will give your power away and go along with it. Now, if you've got your own power and you know that you know that you know, it's one of these knowings, you will say, look, babe, I'm really sorry, but I'm just going to stick to this, and I'm just going to stick to my guns. Okay, now 50-50 chance, or it could be 80-20 chance, you probably will be right, but at least if you get it wrong, you've got yourself to be just upset with, and you say, okay, well, maybe I got this one wrong. Okay, but there's nothing worse than getting something wrong on somebody else's shot and not on your own. So it's really good to get very tuned in to your truth through the third eye, and not give your power away to certain decision makings as well. Very, very important, because what's right for you might not be for somebody else. And in a time and a culture where there's so much information that we're informed about how to be, how to look, what kind of body to have, we're bombarded with images all the time, and we start believing that that is how we need to live, and that's how we ought to look, and, you know, it's all the shoulds and oughts to and all this. That is not your truth. and, you know, it might not be for you. So, for example, you know, going to Pilates or doing a run, you know, might be great for your partner, you know, but for you in your body, it might not be right. You might have another thing that you'd like to get into, another practice, another physical way. So trust what is speaking to you, okay? And speaking of ideas, which is a really good thing to be cultivating at any point during any time in life, but when we're in a situation where we know that we have to change, when we know that things are changing us or forcing us into a change, there'll be a lull, a natural lull, when we don't even know where we're going, where we feel like we're not going anywhere, and the natural tendency would be to want to control it. Okay. Now, the best thing I would suggest, firstly, is to surrender. Just not to do anything, to give into it. Just go with the flow. Go with the feeling of not knowing what to do. Go with not knowing. Okay. When you embrace not knowing, which is a form of surrender, from there you will find that you can actually start moving forward, or something will start moving you. Okay. And that's really important. So you might find it's like follow the crumbs, follow what interests you, follow what music you might like, follow what things, what section you might look in a magazine, for example, or what's caught your attention. There are your intuitive hits, again, guiding you. Okay. Now, with that as well, moving on to the food aspect of stimulating and working with and supporting the third eye, I would like to actually suggest paying attention to the foods you like. Okay. Now, the other thing that tends to get compromised a lot is that we tend to eat and make things easy. So we're feeding the family, or we're feeding our partners, or we cook for two, or cook for four, and we're all eating the same thing. Now, sometimes, yes, you know, and especially now the way things have worked in life, is that there's a lot of hecticness that we don't even get to really tune into what we want to eat. In fact, I was talking to a friend this morning, and we were talking about food. I'm always talking about food. I love to eat and I love to cook. And I love the inspiration that cooking gives me, right? Because it's a very and you know, it's a very inspirational element of life, where you can think, oh, I can make that, or I've got that in the house, and bish, 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 bish. My mind's just sparking off. But she was actually saying that normally, because when she's worked all the time and coming back from work really tired and everything, the first thing she'll do is she'll just go into the fridge and just grab the first thing she can get her hands on, or just kind of make it easy and just cook something really easy. But now that she's got more time, it's not so much she's doing more cooking, but what's interesting is she's tuned into more what she feels like eating. Okay. Now that's really important, because we intuitively start giving up our intuition around food as well. And particularly, like I was saying, if you're cooking for a partner or a family, I would imagine as a woman, that would be the first thing you tend to sort of make easy for yourself, or because you love the family, you love your children, and you love your partner, your man, or whatever, you naturally want to cook for them. And of course, if it's a man cooking for his wife, it could be that as well. And you might cook for that other person what they like. I found that when I was with a partner, my last partner, I cooked so many foods that he just loved. Just, you know, I was just happy to make it. You know, I enjoyed it. I was making cakes, I was making shortbread biscuits, I was making foods that he really liked. And, you know, and it wasn't until, you know, we broke up and I started getting back into my own kind of like my own life, my own personal focus, I just realized that my whole food intake was so different, you know, and I was like, wow. You know, it's so easy to kind of give that part of ourselves up, you know, but it's really wonderful to reconnect. So again, really take time, even if you're, you know, particularly when we get into relationships and family, that we start claiming what's important for us as well, because that intuition is what our body needs. Okay, what my body needs is not what my friend or my partner needs. You know, it is difficult because of course we do the whole family meal, but it's to be sensitive and to make sure that you're included in the equation of trusting what you feel like as well. And so if you've got lots of options in the fridge as well, really tune in, you know, to what you feel like. You know, I recall when I used to be in a pub, for example, you know, the barman would assume that I was going to have something I had the other night, say, for example, say it was the same server, you know, but on a different night. I'd be like, no, you know, and it's nice that they kind of recognize you. But I don't know what I feel like in that moment, because I've just come in and I'm checking in. I did that quite a lot. I'll often check in with what I really felt like. Did I feel like a glass of wine? Did I want Prosecco? You know, did I want some Tea Marie with Coke, or did I just want some fizzy water? You know, it's not about rote behavior. Now, a lot of people do rote behavior because they're kind of like on automatic pilot, and they order the same thing and they order the same drink and they have the same thing and they have the same thing. And we're happy to really get disconnected, right? And we live in a world full of major disconnections. So that is typical of somebody who's just kind of on just some machine level, right? I mean, I know people have their favorite drinks and stuff, but you know, there is something about also just not being, you know, not tuning in, really tuning into what your body needs or would like. Okay. And that could be dictated by many things. The other thing I was thinking about that came up for me is these, and not to put it down at all, because there's a place for it, you know, but these kind of what's called fresh box, you know, these box deliveries that sort of send you the recipes and the food for the week or the food for the 2-3 days or whatever it is. I don't know how they come. And you know, I think they're great for, you know, busy couples, and you've got some fresh produce coming to the home and stuff. But but it made me think, particularly while I was preparing for this particular, you know, sixth key to do with your intuition, your ideas, and kind of your impressions, that I wonder if, because everything is so rote and everything is made so conveniently, that we don't really get in touch. And that's also, while it solves one problem, it sort of creates another, where we, again, you know, you might find that, oh, you've got to eat this box meal because it's coming and you've got a curry recipe, but it's not really what you want, but you think, oh, I'm gonna have to make this curry now, right? I don't know how they work. So you've got 2-3 different recipe cards for the same ingredients, and maybe that's slightly different, because then intuitively you can choose what you want to eat. Okay, but I'm just trying to get people back to feeling, if you started really just giving yourself for one whole week practicing what you wanted to eat intuitively, okay, noticing what the body's saying, what it's speaking, you'll find that your whole experience of eating will be heightened, an incredible, delightful experience, and one that kind of nourishes you in a way that's just food without much thought nourishes or nurtures you. Okay, so there's a different degree and different level of nourishment when you start eating to tune into yourself. You might actually find that naturally you don't actually really care for meat as much as you thought. You know, this is not a thinking thing. Oh, I'm going to become a vegan. Oh, I've got to become a vegetarian, which is really thinking, right? What is your body telling you? You know, what you might just find that actually, you know, you need to eat meat. Some people need to eat meat. You know, they need to eat loads of heavy, dense proteins, and their body needs it. But they've thought themselves into a vegan lifestyle because that's what these superstars are doing, or that's what the athlete's doing, or that's what so-and-so is doing. And so I better follow suit because I like this person, and I better make the right impression, because even if they don't know me, I'm going to follow suit, which means you're not even intuitively tuned into yourself. Okay. Now I know there's things about making a difference to the planet and the meat consumption, and yes, it has gone completely off the radar, off the scale. I'm not, you know, but if you are needing meat, or you're a person that could do with meat because your body needs it, there are other ways of really working with yourself as well as with the planet and sustainability and being ecologically minded. All right, you know, from, you know, good, you know, farms or whatever. So, you know, tune into yourself and stop following the herd, you know, and listen to your body, you know, listen to it every day. And just allow yourself the gift to really tune into what you really need and what you feel like. Very important. Again, this will just heighten your world and just allow you to have, you know, all this kind of way of living actually helps to stimulate your ideas and your visions, okay, which is another aspect which is very important at this stage, because when we hit a crisis or times of instability, we're being called to forge new ideas and visions. So while our visions might not be clear, it would actually clear out the debris, energetic debris, for us to become much more tuned in and have the clarity to move forward. Now, I can't remember if I mentioned dreams, but dreams are really important to pay attention to. So do pay attention to your visual dreams. Yeah, sometimes dreams are hard to remember. Okay, or you wake up to a dream and you know that you've dreamt and you saw this whole big movie, and then suddenly you think, oh, you know, your mind starts chattering and you just can't remember what the dream looked like, or you might have a quick little picture. People do say to write a dream journal. That helps to stimulate your third eye or just kind of get really tuned into it. or just pay attention to the messages, because we're always receiving messages. Okay, dreams are great fun. My last dream that I really remembered, interestingly, was there was a skunk, in my dream. And I remember waking up and thinking, God, that's interesting. There's a skunk. And skunks, to me kind of portray or symbolizes, they tend to sort of leave a stench, when somebody, crosses the boundary. And interestingly, later that day, I was in a conversation with a friend who was actually really pushing the boundaries, or just kind of invading her thoughts and invading her whatever, without permission, very unsolicited and stuff. And I got very upset with her. And as I was getting upset with her, I said to her that actually you're encroaching in my boundaries. But I got really mad. I actually got quite angry and got quite mad. And I remember thinking, wow, that was a real skunk moment. Like I had to do that to stop her, because she wasn't listening. Despite the fact that I was saying to her I didn't need her advice, because I wasn't asking for it. Okay. So again, it's really quite interesting how my dreams had forewarned me about an activity or something that was going to come into the day. And I embraced it, because I just thought, well, I needed to do that. I just really needed to put the boundary up, and I wasn't going to have any of it. So yeah. Anyhow, that's about dreams. So pay attention to your dreams, because your dreams can be guiding you to your next idea, next possible vision, okay, or even a solution. All right, we get a lot of solutions from dreams, or a very, very calm state of mind. So be open to that. Now, is there anything else I'd like to also inform you regarding the third eye that will help you? The other thing I quite like doing, actually, which I think will also be powerful, which is actually not here in my notes, but I know that's related to that, is if you go out and sitting in nature, sometimes it's really nice not to have any headphones on or anything like that. So really tune in and just being still. So you're just actually looking at life and looking at the sun and listening to the birds. At the moment, the birds are very, very active, very, listen to the trees and listen to, just really start honing in to the almost the silence and the stillness of life. But then within it, there's so much sound as well. So kind of really activating your third eye and your listening, which is really good for your throat chakra as well, would really, really help and enhance your third eye. Okay, one thing I haven't done yet today actually is talked about the mantras. Okay, and mantras are basically affirmations, or kind of sacred codes of sentences that could really help you to sort of stimulate as well as activate. So maybe again when you're doing the visualization of the third eye, as with the, if you're doing a sound bath, actually, you can also do the sound for this third eye. It tends to be a hum, like or an E sound, like C, E, which I tend to do. It goes E. And you do it till you run out of breath. And you can even do it higher, go E. Now you'll do this with your eyes closed, or when you think about your third eye, you visualize the indigo color. But those sounds really, really, you repeat it 3, 4, 5 times. And again, I do have some already up on YouTube, some sound healing, chakra healing, which are more specific actually to certain themes and within relationships. So you might find that there's one that speaks to you, and you by all means do check them out. But I will be doing some individual ones as well. So, but doing the sounds while you're repeating a mantra like, I am one with the infinite. Okay, this is about really letting yourself surrender. So, I am one with the infinite is a really good one. Now, the other one also is, my life is in harmony with the cosmos. Okay, this is when we stop fighting, what's happening, right? It's such a very peaceful and a very powerful place to live your life out of. Okay, so my life is in harmony with the cosmos. Now, this one also is a really powerful one as well, I think, and I am seeing and thinking clearly. So you sit there again with your eyes closed, you've done a sound, and then you just sit there and imagine the color indigo, and you just repeat, I now see, and I'm thinking clearly. And you just affirm that as you visualize the color and do the sounds. Okay, so I mean, you can't speak it and do the sounds at the same time. So do the sounds, visualize the color, and then repeat the mantra. Okay, another one. And you can just also do these mantras as you're brushing your teeth, or washing up, or just sitting in a car. Okay, or cycling, and you can just repeat them. Okay, I am balanced and strong. Okay, or I see my way through this very easily and effortlessly. So again, play with it, make your own up. Okay, it's to do with the seeing. Okay, oh, this one I like as well. I trust my inner wisdom. I trust my inner wisdom. Now, if you go into the description box, or go into my website, www.rafasaba.com, and the description box being on YouTube, which is somewhere below. All right, there's a link in the description box, and through my newsletter, signing up to my newsletter, you'll automatically get one of these, and these will also give you a really good toolkit for how to work with the chakras, with all the different mantras for each of the chakras. These are mudras, which again I'll talk through in more in the specific chakra videos, and there are just some little pin drawings of different postures that will aid you with tuning up your keys to help support you, support your body, mind, spirit, okay, and emotions particularly as well. All right, now this also comes, I have a Facebook page called Everyday Alchemist, so you are more than welcome to join that as well. Again, the link will be in the description box below, because obviously I'll be posting this on YouTube. Now, is there anything I'd like to say? No, I think I'd like to finish here. I've covered the food aspect. The environment, I normally do an environment again, maybe, if you're in a clear up mood, or, like I said, by working on the third eye, you are going to notice your environment slightly differently. You're going to have like the third eye, you're going to have another eye to see with. So that would be a very powerful shift for you. And just notice what you notice at home. You might get an intuitive hit to actually get rid of something that you've had lying around, or if you need to get rid of things, but you've been procrastinating or not getting around to it, or not even knowing what to get rid of. Tuning up the third eye will definitely help you start discerning what actually doesn't belong to you anymore and what needs to be get rid of. So that I would recommend for your environment. So I think the combination of all these practices, the sound, the yoga, the mantras, the visualization of the color, eating blueberries, by the way, blackberries as well, sweet potatoes, grapes, black grapes, kale, like purple kale, sprouting broccoli, that's purple, anything purple, aubergines, red cabbage. Red cabbage is great. You can make a really great salad with that if you shred it really finely in a bit of olive oil, vinegar, red wine vinegar, salt and pepper, really, really great. So eat foods to really cultivate and enhance your third eye as well. These are all practices that you can do, and you will notice that you'll balance up your feminine and masculine, which is really what we need when we feel off, okay, to help harmonize the yin and yang in ourselves, all to do with our intuitive insight, spiritual experience, and guidance. So I really, really highly recommend it. And like I said, it will help to strengthen your intuition, wisdom, and inspiration. So thank you for listening. I'm going to leave it here for now. Yeah, check out all the other keys. I really recommend it. And it's a practice. It's a daily, weekly, monthly, annual, okay, with anything. The more you practice, the more you strengthen it, the more you become the energy of what you are practicing. Okay, you just become better at it. But this is one that really you can take into your life that will enhance everything, anything, all your relationships, all your choices, and how you come to live. So I totally recommend this practice, working with the life energy centers. Once again, thanks for listening. You'll find any of my other work on my YouTube channel, libertylane.tv, under my name currently, because I haven't got enough subscribers yet. So you will find it through Rafa Saba, or just in the link below will take you to my whole playlist and other things that I'll be posting. Do check into my website as well, which I mentioned, www.rafasaba.com. There are plenty of articles there that will speak to you, hopefully, or enhance your life. And if you sign up to my newsletter, you'll always be in the know of what I've done, what's coming up, and particularly any of the new moon articles that I write, both through my newsletter and onto my website, so you'll be the first to know. Thanks again. Lovely to do this and to share my wisdom, hopefully my insights and all my learning, and offer it to you as a toolkit for a better life, the one that is vibrant and liberated. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.